welcome. We are happy to be here. The last time we talked with you was about the first part of March, and we posted our Bedford, Pennsylvania adventures. We went to the National Museum of the American Coverlet, which was awesome.
And then we went to the Flight 93 Memorial.
Yeah, and that was amazing. That was amazing. And that was around the 2nd of March. And then the 5th of March happened, which for us was a pretty seismic kind of day. And so we're going to tell you about it, so stay tuned. Okay, so on the 5th of March, we were in the office at the historic site that we work at sometimes in Hiram, Ohio. And we got a text from one of our leaders, and we were completely floored because up to now, well, when we first started, we worked in just one historic site, right?
Well, two sometimes.
Well, yeah, two. Because the one in Hiram is one, and then the one in Kirtland, which is a restored historic village, is the second one. Then in August, right after we got here, there was
another
historic home.
Historic home that opened up.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was great. That was the situation over the winter. And then the 5th of March, there was a press release from our church's headquarters that they had done a major property acquisition here in Kirtland. It was the Kirtland Temple. And it was incredibly unexpected and really quite seismic here in this area, because the church that owned it for well over 100 years and have taken really good care of it. They've loved it. Their stewardship was, they just did a good job. I mean, it's a building that likely, you can see it here, it likely would not be here were it not for their care. It really wouldn't. But their priorities changed, and they decided that they wanted to sell it, and so our church purchased it, and our leaders, that this was on the 5th of March, and they wanted to reopen it for visitors March 25th. So we had 20 days to get ready. So not long after the acquisition, which was March 2nd, our son and his wife and their 3 children came to visit, which was a lot of fun. Andy and Jenny came over, and we were able to give them some tours through the temple and through the other sites, and we ate and laughed and played a game that they brought with them because they knew that I would play it. I'm not a very good game player, you see. I don't like them.
She knew that she would win. And that's
I don't like them because I can't win. I don't like them because I can't figure out the strategy. And so they brought one that they knew I would like because I could win. Isn't that awful?
It doesn't take any strategy.
It takes no strategy. It just takes musical knowledge, which I've got. It's called Hitster, and it was hilarious. They had gone through, they'd taken all the R-rated songs out, and then they brought this, and it's pretty hilarious. I might have to get it at some point, but I won. So, but I was nice, and I helped other people.
She had almost as many points as everyone else combined.
But it was a lot of fun. So, Hitster, if you want. If you're musical and you like music stuff, and you're pretty good at remembering which decade stuff hit in, that's your game. Okay. But
we were really busy there.
There was 2 spring breaks back to back.
And then the Eclipse.
And we're going to talk about that.
Tons of people here for the Eclipse.
Yeah, we had hundreds and hundreds of people here because Kirtland, Ohio was in the path of totality. We are in complete totality right now. It's crazy. Wow. We're coming back out now. Holy smokes. Wow. All of a sudden it's light. Whoa.
God flipped us.
Wow, the flip got switched.
It's
Wow, that's crazy. All of a sudden, wow. That's amazing. We went from dark back into sun, and it's still covered by a lot. But even just that amount of sun has made a huge difference. This has been really fun. Yeah, that's crazy, huh, Will? Wow.
It was really cool.
But that was the other thing that was something else we did
Yeah.
was we had that. Now they did close the sites down for 2 hours, but we had a lot of fun and we had people over, and also one of our grandsons came. In addition to watching the eclipse with him, we got to show him some of the sights here. He stayed with us and we had a really great time with him.
Oh yeah.
So one of the things that we've been wanting to do since we got here was to go to Canton, Ohio, which was about an hour and a half or so, I think, from
Yeah.
here.
That's about
And the reason is because,
that's where my grandparents lived, and my father grew up.
yeah,
And so every year we would go there as a family when I was growing up and visit my grandparents and my aunt and uncle that lived there, and cousins. And so we,
his grandparents are buried there.
yeah,
And so we wanted to go find their house and find their grave sites.
yep,
So we did that, and that was pretty fun. The house, things have kind of moved along in that neighborhood, so to speak. It had changed, but it was fun to see the house.
yeah,
it really
was fun.
It was good.
It was good.
And then we went to the cemetery.
Yep. And we found their grave sites as
It
well.
did give us a really good idea, though, for when we do start
Yes.
RVing again. We're going to throw in a cordless weed whacker and some D3 headstone cleaner. Thought, you know what? We've got family buried all over the country in different states, so why not carry that with us? And then when we find
when we get to the cemetery, we can clean up the
them off,
headstones. And
his grandparents weren't too bad, but they could use a little scrubbing off.
yeah,
So,
it was just a little darkening in some places.
So that's
which
something
we
that
could
you can
clean off.
consider as you're driving. Maybe some of you do. Tell us in the comments if you do that. And then the other thing that we were able to do, which we need to do a whole video. I keep saying I'm going to do it, and I haven't done it yet. On an app called Find a Grave,
Yeah.
and you can see here what it looks like. It's a terrific little app, and it's something we love to do. It helps you locate where people's graves are, and so for example, if one person, say my grandmother is buried in Canton and I live in California, I would like a picture of my grandmother's grave. And so they put a request in through Find a Grave, and then I'm in Canton, and so I say, oh, I see that grave, or I can go find that grave, and I'll take a picture and upload it. You can also upload the GPS location of it, so people they can just walk right to it. It's really very cool.
Yeah, so we added the GPS
did.
locations for my grandparents
Right.
and
Yeah, so you can add the GPS, you can add photographs, you can add information, and we've had times where people have emailed us back and said thank you for doing that because I couldn't get there. And so it's a very cool thing. So we'll do a whole video about it at some point. Well, one other thing we did when we were in Canton is we went to Dover to the Ernest Warther Museum and Gardens. We are at the Ernest Warther Museum in Dover, Ohio. Eric came here as a kid, and so it's kind of fun. Take a look at this. This is a giant replica of the little pliers that he makes.
yeah, and that's not too far outside of Canton. And I remember going there as a child. I think we may have gone there twice. One of the things that he always has done is he makes these pliers out of a piece of wood. I got a pair of those pliers made by Ernest Warther.
And signed by him.
Yeah.
Way back
A long time
way
ago.
back when. So Ernest Warther was born in 1885, and he began carving when he was a very young boy. And he continued in this hobby that grew into an incredible art form. And as you can see here, some of the things that he carved, most of the time he carved trains because he loved them. And they are very, very intricate and very
And they
just so detailed.
If it moves on the real thing, it moves on his
model. And there's a lot of them in this museum. Now, interestingly, he also said he never sold a train.
Right.
Because he said, if you sell it, your hobby ceases to be a hobby and begins to be a business, and he didn't want to do that.
Yeah. He worked at a steel mill, and so he has a couple of models of the steel mill where he worked.
And they were really incredible. They still work.
Yeah.
And
the figures move and
yeah.
everything. It's pretty amazing.
And each of the figures has a name and represents somebody he used to know,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is really kind of fun. So the museum is now run by his family, his grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and we think it's his great-granddaughter, Sydney Warther, is now making the little pliers.
Yep,
And so
I got a pair of those.
So now we have one signed by Ernest and one signed by Sydney. So that's really a lot of fun. So as if one astronomical amazingness wasn't enough, we have had two over here. In addition to the eclipse on April 8th, we've had northern lights here. And I know a lot of you have seen them too.
But it was very impressive. We many years ago, we saw some northern lights in Vermont where it covered the entire sky, and there was patches of all different colors.
It was
and
like
there
a
was
dome and strobing. And our son, we were talking to him, and he remembers that.
In fact, he asked us, did I exaggerate what happened?
I said,
He said, no, you didn't.
It was astounding. It was
yeah,
really
what you're
funny.
describing
That
is
would have
exactly
been
what
in,
happened.
What, the late 1980s, maybe?
Yeah,
somewhere along that line. Not
like
really
that.
sure. It was a really long time ago, but that was the best we've ever seen. But
This was second best.
Second
It
best.
was pretty amazing. It had many different colors. It had green and yellow, a lot of magenta,
right,
and purple.
You could see it was like white if you just looked at it with your eye, and I'm sure a lot of you experienced the same thing. But you put your camera up, and it was like crazy colors. It was amazing. What's next? Well, we have about 11 months into an 18-month mission, so we have a few more months here. The plan is that we'll leave here a little before Christmas, and we're going to spend Christmas with our daughter, and then we'll head home from there.
Yeah, visit my brother. And
we'll go to Tennessee. We'll stop in North Carolina, Tennessee, and maybe Alabama.
And maybe Georgia.
Maybe Georgia, before Alabama. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. And then we'll make our way home probably right around the first of the year. So we'll be back. And then the next plan is to unbutton the RV. We're going to, remember we did a video before we left about how we buttoned it all up, and I'll link that right here. So you can watch that, and then I'll probably put it out again when we unbutton it so you can see the reverse process. Our house sitter has been starting it monthly and running the generator monthly, so that's been good.
Yeah.
But we'll get that. We'll get it road ready, and we'll grab Phoebe, and we will head out on the road again. Now, speaking of Phoebe, she is doing great. She's going to be 19 this year. Can you even stand it?
Well, that's according to the information we have.
Her past is a little murky. We don't really know. The information that we got when we got her from this shelter was that she was 14, and that'll be 5 years ago. But she doesn't act like she's 19. She's completely fine. Her blood work is great. Her vet checks are great. She gets her shots, and she's like sassy and fat and all the things. So she's doing so good. So she'll be on the road with us, and that will be a lot of fun. So where will 2025 find us? Well, we don't know yet. We've got some ideas, and we're not ready to quite share our ideas yet, but we will as we get a little bit closer.
We're still doing some research.
We are, but Two Restless Retirees 2.0 is not to be missed. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
And give us a thumbs up if you like the video, and ring the bell to get notified.
You bet. And until next time, sometime, Restless friends, you take care.
Bye.
So what are we doing?
We were having ice cream for dinner. We did that one time, and then we had ice cream for dessert.
Yeah. Shh, that's supposed to tell. So here we go. There's Derek's ice cream. Strawberry, butter pecan, and what?
Black cherry.
Black cherry. And that's mine. That is killer hot fudge sauce, by the way.
It's a brownie with
Panda Paws ice cream and cookie dough ice cream. Yeah.
And a little pitcher.
And a little
yummy
pitcher of hot fudge. It's so good.